I don't know how much you guys caught that song I had playing there at the beginning, but it's called The Outskirts of Heaven. And it goes into this theme because when I was a kid, I remember, I went to a church school, and the minister comes in and he teaches us about heaven. And he tells us, oh, well, the highest heaven is for these most ancient people, ancient civilization. They were so good. And when they go to heaven, they had these tents that they lived in, and they lived in these tribes. And I just sat there going, what? This is the best place? Tents? Permanent camping? That doesn't sound like any fun to me. I don't want to go to that heaven. Forget about it. No way. I think the next time he comes and we'll teach about the next heaven. Well, this next heaven is middle heaven. And everybody there, it's just love for the neighbor. They don't care about themselves. All they do is care about everybody else. And I'm going, man, I don't know if that place is any good for me either. That might be good for somebody else, but that doesn't really sound like a good time. And by the time he starts talking to us about this lowest heaven, I'm starting to think, you know what? That might just do the trick. That might just be it. I'll just kind of hop over the line, keep most of myself, and it'll be okay. Because that third and second heaven, those just don't sound like any fun at all. So a few years ago, when this song comes out, The Outskirts of Heaven, I'm like, yes, this is I can relate to this guy. He's like, man, I don't know, let's see. I want to live where there's dirt roads for miles, hay in the fields, fish in the river, blue skies. I want to live on the outskirts of heaven. I don't want these golden streets and pearly gates. I want a dirt road. Thank you very much. He's like, says in the King James, he mentions mansions he's built for me, but I don't want mansions. I want acreage with a farmhouse and a backyard. That's where I want to be. And I'm like, yeah, this guy gets it, Because so much, you get these pictures, these stereotypical pictures about what do you do in heaven? You're an angel with a harp, and you're floating on a cloud, and you're praising God, and you're doing all these holy things, and an evil thought never crosses your mind, and you're doing stuff for everybody else, and it just doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun for the most part. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. And you think about it, what is this song? This is what we just did today, as warriors true. As verse 3, as warriors wise, we tread the narrow way. It's not that we go out and party, we're going to do the narrow. We're going to follow all the rules. Now, Zach and Matthew, they're kind of rule followers for the most part anyway, so maybe this sounds good to you guys. But when you think about how much of the Bible is about it's, don't do these things, right? Don't have any other gods, no using bad language, no lying, you can't covet, you can't even look at something and want it. A lot of things in the Ten Commandments where it just feels very narrow. It's hard, and as a kid I always felt like I was always doing something wrong. Somebody's always calling me up, oh, your homework's not good enough, it's not done in time, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Just let me get on those outskirts of heaven. That's what I'll take. Just get me in the fringes so that I don't have to have a bad time. I want to have a good time. So that was the idea on this service, is just to kind of have a reassurance that, maybe it isn't all that bad. Maybe it's not just about the outskirts of heaven. Maybe the inskirts of heaven, the inner parts will be okay too. And so, no. So when I think about, what stories there are in the scriptures that talk about what kind of things we can do in heaven, is it fun? The story that comes up about things we can do is the Joseph story. And he says there's the butler and the baker who are in prison with Joseph. And when they are all in the prison together, the butler and the baker, they each have a dream. Anybody remember what the dreams are? Who lives, who doesn't? So there's the butler. He's got this dream that he takes Pharaoh a chalice. You know, he takes Pharaoh the wine. And Joseph says to him, oh, well, this means that you're going to be reinstated. It's all good. In 3 days, Pharaoh's going to call you back and you'll be back in his side. The baker hears this and says, oh, hey, I had a dream too. He hears that it's a good outcome for the butler, so he says, tell me my dream. Well, his dream was the one where he's walking along and he's got a basket on his head and holes in the basket, and there's the bread, and the birds are coming down and getting the bread, and the bread's falling through the holes. And Joseph says, oh, well, you know, you're done. That's right. Now, this isn't good for you, buddy. You're going to get caught up in 3 days, and you're going to be put to death. And the picture here symbolically is that, well, the butler took to Pharaoh and was being useful. You know, he was giving something back to Pharaoh, so it was, the actions were sanctified. They were blessed, as it were. Versus the baker, it was the birds that were devouring it and the bread's going everywhere. It was kind of a destructive dream. So it's a picture that this guy wasn't actually doing anything useful. So yeah, that's got to go. And if you dig into the meaning of these things, it's basically saying that this butler and this baker, they're pictures of the things that we do in life, and that some things have to go and some things can stay. And the things that stay are the things that are useful to a higher purpose, as that guy was useful to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh at that time was aligned with Joseph, or about to be aligned with Joseph. So it was all coming together saying, yep, there are certain things you can do that are going to pay off. There are certain things you're going to do that you can keep and you're going to enjoy, and it's going to be all right. And it's not a real super happy story, I admit, because you feel like something's still got to go. But the idea here is that there are good things that stay. And you can imagine the poor children of Israel. They go through this whole process of being slaves in Egypt. They come out, they're in the desert, they're miserable, they're not happy. And don't you think they might need some reassurance that this is actually going to be all right? Yes, parts have had to die, but you can still have fun. Well, that's what we get in the Psalms. In the Psalms, we have Psalm 107, where the Lord's reassuring them that even though you're going through a lot of change, a lot of things are happening, you can still have fun. Being good and doing what I'm asking you to do isn't to make you miserable, it's to make you happy. So he says, this is what the psalmist writes, Psalm 107, he turned rivers into a desert, flowing springs into thirsty ground, and a fruitful land into salt waste. Because of the wicked desert into pools of water, he parched the ground, and the parched ground into flowing springs. There he brought the hungry to live, and they founded a city where they could settle. They sowed fields and planted vineyards and yielded a fruitful harvest. He blessed them, and their numbers greatly increased, and he did not let their herds diminish. So that last line is what we're focusing in on here. Did not let their herds or their cattle diminish. That'd be like saying to teenage boys, all right, I'm going to put you on this path to being a good person, and good things are going to happen for you, and I'm not going to take away your iPhone. I'm not going to take away your phone. All right? You can still be a good person. You can still do everything I ask you to. Have a good time, and I'm not going to take away your technology. That would be about what that said. Because basically, if you look at, let's look at the Apocalypse Explained number about cattle. He says, this entire Psalm 107 treats of the Lord's coming and redemption by him. That they will then have truths by which the church will be implanted in them, and that in consequence they will have goods of the church and thence will increase. That then every good affection of the natural man will remain with them is signified by he shall not diminish their beasts, their herds. So all the good things that we like to do in the world aren't going to be taken away from us. So if you enjoy playing tennis, is that love going to be taken away? No. If you like playing video games, you know, yeah, there's probably something in heaven you can do with playing video games. May not be in that highest heaven. but you'll at least be on the good side of the ledger. And that's really the point. We just want to get you on the good side. We don't have to be perfect. God doesn't require that of us, and I certainly don't require that of you. But Secrets of Heaven 51:25, the next one, talks about this kind of stuff from a little bit of a different perspective. It says, when sensory impressions, right, delights we have from our five senses, eating, tasting good things, and seeing cool things and smelling cool, all that stuff, when those occupy that position, being the lowest of them, happiness and bliss radiate from the interior man into the delights of the senses and make 1,000 times better than they were before. 1,000 times, that's really good, right? So if you think you like playing video games now, or you like playing tennis now, if you get your inside of your life right, those things become even more fun. Because you're doing it from a good reason, a good purpose, a clean heart, all that kind of stuff. All those things become better. Having no understanding of this, one who's ruled by the senses, so if you make those things your top priority, has no belief in it either, and feeling no other delight than that of the senses, and so, imagining that no higher kind of delight exists, he regards the happiness and bliss that can be inwardly present in the delights of the senses as worthless. For what a person has no knowledge of is not thought by him to have any real existence. So if you don't believe what I'm telling you, what the Lord's telling you, that there's something higher and you can start from a better place, you're going to say, look, all I care about is having a good time right here and now. And not believe the idea that these same things that you enjoy can be better if you do the inside work. If you get the inside person right, then all of these other things can have a better place. That's really the point of this thing. It's just a reminder that, a life of religion doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be no fun. And sometimes it can feel like that because I feel like we have services every week and it's like, oh, well, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, all these don'ts. And they're all warnings to try to keep you on that narrow path. But the point of it all is that, there are good, fun things you can do. You can enjoy having a good cinnamon scroll, right? You can do that. You just got to make sure the inside part's right, and then it makes it 1,000 times better. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my cinnamon scrolls being 1,000 times better than they already are. I'm looking forward to that barbecue in heaven being 1,000 times better than it already is. The race cars are going to be 1,000 times faster. I mean, it's going to be really good. And that's where we get back to that As Warriors True song. It says, second line, fourth verse, where angels dwell in joy that shall not cease. That joy is not just sitting around on clouds playing harps. Very, very real about it. Something that maybe we can't all comprehend fully at this point, but as long as we believe it to be true and work on that inner stuff, the stuff we feel here will give us an insight. You know what? Maybe this is all true. Maybe this is all true. Maybe it's all real. So anyway, that's the message I wanted to bring to you today. I think I covered all the parts of my notes here. Yeah. Anybody want to say anything? This is an outdoor service. You can contribute if you have something on your heart that you wish to say.
That Craig Candy's a man after my own heart. That's what I want. Here in Australia, remember when I was a kid out at Hillsmith, we go out to the farm. I loved it. There were kangaroos everywhere. There was the river. There was a dirt road. We'd go to drive up. There'd be red dust everywhere. We'd eat clean food. There was food off the farm. That's what I want.
You're going to be with Craig Campbell in heaven, huh?
Oh, you bet. As soon as I read that, I went, wow, I this guy. Who is this bloke anyway?
He's just an American country singer.
Oh, is he? Oh, right. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, so he's
Buck knife, shotguns, and out the cars. The old Z bag, Z car. What's that?
fishing line.
Oh, fishing. And how to work a fish.
So yeah, all nice things. I'm not sure that I need as much fishing as old Craig does, but I like the sentiment. I like the idea of I don't need a mansion either. I mean, none of that.
More than a tent, but
Yeah, some have more than a tent, but something with like a nice big garage, you know. That's what I could go for. The house itself can be small. I mean, like you might have some input you want to have on that. You might. So that's fair. I'm willing to negotiate on that. But it's heaven. We don't have to negotiate a whole lot.
lots of counter space.
Lots of counter space with a with the Vitamix and a Thermomix, all that kind of stuff. All the good things. So yeah, it's yeah. When you think about what heaven's going to be like, it's kind of weird because we're told it's so different, and yet it's better. It's better.